Hello. Hello. Are you okay, children? Do you like me t-shirt? Hot and sweaty, been playing BALL, and then suddenly I decided to come in and make this little bit of a video. It's only going to be, this video is probably going to be very bitty. So I met up with my mate John, finally, after about 3 years. That was good, John, weren't it? We had a laugh, we had a chat. Just nice to be in somebody's company who's a decent person, you know. And John gave me a gift. He gave me 3 gifts really, but one of the gifts he gave me, look at that. Bless him. He bought me a book, an Aussie book. I've started reading it. It's got loads of pictures in and different bits and bobs. It's really good. Very, very well written. So that's great. Thank you very much, John. Blessed to have you in my life. Blessed to have that book. And just blessed to... Well, we're both still about, mate, aren't we? Despite the bloody odds. We both had our troubles and worries and stuff like that in life, but we are still about. So that's good. And I'll see John another time very soon, hopefully. So, as it's going to be bitty, somebody said, could you explain the title? Well, this is my latest painting. Look at that. How wonderful. So this is my latest painting, and it's called Standing at the Edge of Forever. And somebody said, could you explain that? So I never normally do, but yeah, I can do. So for me, standing at the edge of forever, so if that's you and that's the world, then you're stood facing everything. The edge of forever is what happens after what we can't see, right? So it goes on and goes on into this primordial soup, or this space age way of being, or something like that. But really what it means to me is when, before mundane rubbish sets in, we are at the beginning, and we often think like that, you know, and it's quite exciting, you know. So you start your job and it's all new, it's all fresh, you've got to learn people's names, what to do, when to do it, what time's lunch, you know, where's the loo, you've got to learn all this stuff, and you're stood there, and you're stood like at the very start, the very beginning of your career, your job, your time there, whatever. Or it could be you've just got into a new relationship, and that's exciting. It's exciting for all of us. You've got to get to know each other, and when things progress slightly in that relationship, it's all awkward and a bit embarrassing and a bit, do you know what I mean? And you're slowly getting to know each other on lots of levels, physical, spiritual, whatever, you know, intimate levels, whatever. And it's all very exciting, but maybe instead of being at the beginning, maybe you are standing at the edge of forever, because maybe that relationship, maybe that will go on forever. And maybe you'll look back and you'll be 85 and your partner will be with you aged 86, and you'll look back and you'll think, wow, we were stood right at the very beginning then, you know. But maybe you were stood at the edge of forever. So same with your job, same with your career. You might, day one, perhaps you're not stood right at the very start, right at the very beginning. Perhaps you're stood at the edge of forever. You're looking into your future. That is where you belong. Who knows? So that's how I see it, really. You know, if you were a pop star, you release your first single, yeah, it's all nervy, it's all, you know, it's very exciting, you know. But maybe you are stood at the edge of forever. Maybe you're Elvis Presley, and maybe you can look back at your life and think, wow, I sold millions of albums, and this happened and that happened, and I was actually then, I was stood at the beginning, I was stood at the edge of forever rather than stood at the beginning. Yeah, maybe you stood at the both, really, but you're looking into your future, and I think that's what that says, really. But it's also, if you're stood there, everything's around you, all the chaos and the rubbish and the silliness of life and the planet. But as you're stood at the edge of forever, it's more than just that, isn't it? It's more than your woes, your concerns, your worries. more than your mental health or your physical health or anything that impacts your life currently, won't be there eventually. It won't be. So maybe you are stood at the edge of forever. Maybe you're seeing well past all that stuff, all that nonsense that we think is life, and it's not, is it? You know, paying taxes, having a conversation with your neighbour about Keir Starmer, whatever. You know, that's not real life. Real life is far bigger than that. But we have to wade through this rubbish to get to the edge of forever. So perhaps we are staring at that, perhaps we're trying to see over all that rubbish into whatever our future is. So that's what it means to me. I don't know if that's too deep. I don't know. I've no idea. But anyway, so there it is. This is on eBay now, currently. Okay. There you go. So I'm hot. I'm just having a cold Slurpee. It's cherry Coke. No nail varnish, you'll notice, because I had a sleep apparatus on me, a load of equipment really. It's called a sleep study. It's for sleep apnea. It's to see if I've got that. What it is, this potential ME or CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, is still with me 2 years later. Nobody will diagnose me at the moment, although they're going to. I'll tell you that in a minute. So one thing they said is, do you snore? And I said, I don't know. And they said, well, let's have a sleep apparatus on you for a night and we'll see what the score is, you know, see if you stop breathing or see how your heart is working. So it's all good stuff really. So I had to go over to the hospital and pick it up, strap it to me, the following day take it back. But it's it's not really cumbersome, but it's a weird piece of apparatus really. You've got this electronic device with a couple of lights on that flicker. That's strapped to your kind of sternum area with a big Velcro strap that goes around you. You have to pull that so it's not over tight, but it's got to be, it's to do lots, but it needs to know whether you're breathing in and out. So it takes all that into consideration. So that's a box about that big. So that's there. Then also you've got a microphone, so there's another lead that comes off it and it's got a microphone. There's another one that comes off it and it's pardon me, it's one of these basically. Don't know what you can see, but anyway, you stick that on your finger and away we go, you know. So it's one of those, and that's cumbersome when it's at night. That has to be strapped on because it's likely to pull off, but that's got quite a thick lead that comes over it. It has to go over the top of your hand and then to your heart or to this machine, and that takes various different readings and what have you. And then worst of all, and you're trying to sleep with this bloody thing, you've got a nasal cannula. So you've got another tube that comes off it, a great big bloody tube, and you have to strap that all in, and that comes up into your nose, but it's got to go up over your ears at the same time to hold it in place. Otherwise you're just going to pull it out instantly really. You lay on your pillow and you just move half an inch and it's pulled out, but that's got to be in there. But trying to sleep with all this stuff, I don't sleep well anyway. In fact, I haven't slept well, not one single night, probably for years. I can't sleep with this stuff on me. Couldn't sleep, no way, you know. You have a questionnaire to fill in, so you fill in 2 pages prior to going to bed and then 1 page when you've woken up. And it's automatic, you don't touch it, you don't do anything with it. So it starts at 11 PM and it turns off at 7 AM. I could not stomach it any longer. After about 4 o'clock, I was just laid there and laid there and laid there. I was uncomfy. Every time I tried to move over, it was digging in me. It wasn't very good. So I drew it to an end at 5 AM. I packed it all away in its bloody box, and it was still beating away because it turns itself off. So yeah, it's all packed away, and I made up my mind I'm going to go early over to the hospital and get rid of it, you know. It's just a bit of a shame really. I don't know what they're going to make of it, because I couldn't sleep very much at all. I got bits, bits and bobs of sleep, so maybe they can take some readings, and let's hope so, because I think if they offer me to do it again, I'm going to have to say no. It's too much, it's too cumbersome, there's too much going on as well, and you can feel it. If you couldn't feel it, it wouldn't matter, but yeah, you can feel everything really. And I kept adjusting throughout the night as well, my ears, I noticed that probably where I laid on a pillow, and we all know I've got alien ears, look at them, beautiful, it tells you, glorious. They poke out a bit. So, I think this ear, the pipe going up in the nose, the nasal cannula, had moved on the pillow and it was pressing down on that. So I got one wonky ear, like my dog, one wonky ear, one right ear. So yeah, that was bloody awkward, so I had to readjust, and when I did, pulled the nose out, so I had to shove the nose, and then there's a thing that goes under here, a strap under the chin. Well, I don't have a chin, I have a beard. My chin's actually this long, could you imagine? My chin is in there somewhere, like a normal person. I'm normal-ish, like that. So you have to do that, and then I caught some hairs, and I lay there, and I thought, oh, fucking hell, like this. Oh God, fucking hell. I nearly swore then. Oh, fuck me, I was thinking, fucking hell, like that. And it was, it's just a right pain in the bloody arse, it really is. But that went. Couldn't deal with it anymore. So, but the reason why I started this ramble about nail polish is you cannot use it if you've got any nail polish or any false nails on. I don't know why, but any. Now, at the time of speaking, when I went and picked it up, I just had these ones, which is, I often just have those. And they were a greeny blue or something like that, I can't remember. But yes, I had to take it all off. So when I went and met John, I said, look, John, I look like a bloody man. And he said, about bloody time. About bloody time, he said. So yeah, that's why I've got no nail polish on, just to let you know if you're worried. I don't want it to keep you awake at night. What a load of crap. Anyway, so that's that situation. I'm going to make some more of this video in a moment, and that really is tomorrow, because I've got my hernia thing, my appointment about my hernia, so might even know the operation date or something, who knows. Might know what they're going to do, if anything. I've got apparently 7 hernias now. One is as big as your fist, and then smaller ones from there. So, but that'll be tomorrow, which is in 1 second on here. Yeah, apart from that, I think we're all well and dandy and stuff. We've done a few things. We've been out a few times. Met a couple of people and what have you, so it's all been good really. The weather is, at the moment, it's been very kind to us, but 2 days ago it was bloody freezing. I put the heating on in the morning, it was so cold, and then I put it on again in the evening. Then I woke up today and we got blue sky, sunshine, hot. Weird. Okay, so that's enough for this little bit. I'll come back after the hospital, I think, and just fill you in then, tell you what was what. So I'll see you then. Cheers, take care and be well. Ta-da. Hello, I forgot. I said I was going to tell you why they are going to diagnose me with something or other. Totally forgot, went out of my head. Anyway, I've just remembered now after my lovely shower. A shower makes you think. It gives you that time and space, I'm going to make a separate video on this, but very, very briefly. There's a new thing in England and for the medical malarkey, and it's called Jess's Rule. Jess's Rule. So have a look at that, but I will make a separate video on it. Basically, what it means is there was a young girl called Jessica. She died of cancer, sadly, unrecognised, undiagnosed, fobbed off, 20 appointments, and she died. So they've now instigated this thing called Jess's Rule. Jess's Rule simply means, it's very, very basic. As I say, I will make a bigger video, but basically 3 strikes and rethink. That's what the doctors have to do. 3 strikes and rethink. Now, it doesn't matter whether you've had, say, 2 telephone appointments and 1 face-to-face. That's 3 strikes. If you've had 3 appointments with 3 different doctors, that's 3 strikes. If you've phoned up and spoke to 3 people or more, that's 3 strikes or more. If you've had a telephone appointment, then the second one is a telephone appointment but with a questionnaire. Third one is a telephone appointment but you wanted a photo or something, or your weight, or your blood pressure readings for a week, whatever. Then you have another appointment and perhaps it's a face-to-face. Well, that's your 4th appointment. It's 3 strikes and rethink, no matter what. So I will be diagnosed with something or other, because it'll force them to look into other things. So I will make a bigger, better video on this, but it's called Jess's Rule and it's worth having a look into. More on a bigger, better video. Now, health, we're just talking about health. Why is it inside my mouth 1 week ago, right, 6 nights ago, I bit the inside of my mouth as I was just eating my food, and it hurt and it bled and it's horrible. So that's that. Why is it that the next night I bit it 3 separate times having my dinner? I was eating carefully and I bit it 3 times. I've bitten it every single time I eat since. 6 meals and a couple of, I had a sandwich and I had a bag of crisps, I think. So we'll say a sandwich is 1 meal, we'll say a bag of crisps is 1 meal, and then we'll say the other 6 meals. So we're looking at perhaps 8 meals, and I've bitten it a minimum of 8 times. Why is that? So anyway, we're having a Slurpee. Cheers. I should be back tomorrow. Well, I'll be back in a second. But I can tell you about the hospital appointment to do with these these alien lumps and bumps, I tells you. Alright, we'll be back in a sec. Cheers. Hello. Sorry about that. I forgot. I was going to adjust that and I thought, well, I must adjust it. Anyway, whatever. Hello. So, I'm having a quick Slurpee. Cheers. Why not? This is the day after I went to the hospital, so I can tell you about that. Just before I do, a couple of things I missed last week, really. My God, it's crazy. I had a leak. The rain decided to come through my tiles, through the roof, through the loft, through the ceiling, and dripping into here. And I woke up bright and early, came in here, made myself a Slurpee, came in here, sat down, and I heard this drip. Well, I didn't. I heard this click and took no notice, and then click, and then I put a video on, and not loud, luckily. Click like that, and I thought, what is that? And when I turned, I could suddenly see this water just blip, blip. I put a couple of photos on, and you can see the crack in the ceiling. So my job today is to repair that, and I've got all this stuff to do it with, so that's what I'll be doing. So that's that. It was a funny day, really, because there was also an explosion on that day, and not from my body, before you say it. There was an explosion. I was on the phone to a friend, and bless him, but he was banging on about what he feeds his animal, his pet, and that's fine. And all of a sudden, this almighty bang, and I've never heard a bang like it, but it was very nearly metallic or something like that. But I thought the kitchen window had gone in for some reason. It wasn't glass really, but it was like, It was such an explosion. And I thought, did the cooker explode into the window? Anyway, I said, well, you have to forgive me. I said a naughty word, a rude word. I said, F me. As I'm rushing up and out and the phone's on the sides, he carried on banging on. I could hear him, when I was in the kitchen, I could hear him saying, yeah, and then there's the gravy or the jelly as well, and the chicken is nice. Oh, God. Anyway, whatever. So, go out into the kitchen, and I looked at the window, nothing. Looked at the cooker, looked around the cooker, nothing. Looked on the work surfaces, nothing. Looked around, and I thought, okay, it's not in here, it must be the bathroom. Why would the bathroom explode? I've had a few explosions occasionally in there, but anyway, so I went in the bathroom, there was nothing. I thought, could the shower explode? Anyway, there was nothing. So I thought, well, there's nothing in my bedroom to explode, you know, really. It's just me, got a bit of music in there, CD player and a few bits and bobs. So I go in there and there's nothing, so I'm sure it was the kitchen, so I went back to the kitchen and I couldn't find anything. So I opened up the oven because I thought maybe the glass has exploded. I don't know, I'm just looking. So there's nothing in there. And then I thought, well, the washing machine, I bought a brand new washing machine about 10 days ago. So I thought, I wonder if that wasn't plumbed in correctly and for some reason that's been, and it's just gone bang and it's exploded. I don't know. So anyway, I had a look in there and nothing. So I opened up the fridge and it was full of my... I'll put some photos on in a minute. It was full of one of my cans of Cherryade. Sometimes I buy bar Cherryade. Bar. And it had split. And it was all over the bloody place. Here's a couple of photos. We'll have a swig of me Slurpee. I'll show you. If I haven't shown you the ceiling, I'll show you now. But I will also show you the split in the can. Cheers. So anyway, you're probably seeing photos. Yeah, God almighty, it was an almighty bang, and I didn't know what it was. Anyway, I'm glad I found it. But I had to clean, I took everything in the end out of the fridge and I had to clean that from top to bottom. It was just full of red little ice cubes and stuff like that. And I thought, well, this is ridiculous. It's a fridge, it's not a freezer. So I thought, how could that possibly happen? I couldn't really work it out. But I had quite a few cans in there, and I do remember I bought a couple of big milks, and I did put the cans from the top, no, cans from the middle onto the bottom, and then put the milk where the cans were. But the cans didn't quite fit, so I shoved them, I pushed them. I do remember this about a week ago, and or more. And what I'd done, I didn't realise, what I'd done is pushed one of the cans up and over. There's a little lip, that's the motor, little tiny lip. And one of the cans nicely squashed against there. So that must have made it freeze. I can't work out another way. The fridge isn't too cold. I haven't adjusted the fridge. It's been the same for, well, 6 years. I've never adjusted it. There's never been a need to. I set things up and they run. Anyway, so yeah, that was a bit of a malarkey. But anyway, we're all sorted now. So, yeah, hospital trip. It was, well, he was lovely. The guy was lovely. I suppose he's the consultant stroke surgeon, either Asian or Pakistani or whatever. Lovely guy, really, really nice guy. I was a bit naughty and he smiled a bit, so that was nice. He was human. We had a couple of laughs actually, only, yeah, gentle laughs, but it was nice. So, went there, bang on time, absolutely perfect they were. I literally sat down in the waiting room, boom, and they called my name and I went in. And I had to sit outside the consultant's room for about maybe 1 minute while he was just finishing my notes. But he did tell me, he said, I'll be with you in just a minute or two, I'm just finishing off your notes. I said, thank you very much, and that was it. So he came out, got me, I went in, and he said, right, okay, let's have a look at you first of all. He said, let's lay down. So not us both, just me. So you lay down. So I laid down, lifted my t-shirt, and he had a good old prod and a poke and a feel and a squeeze. And then he went to my belly and did the same. Oh dear, listen to me. Anyway, so yeah, he had a good old feel. And then he said, take a seat. So I took a seat. He said, right, let's have a look at this. He said, I'll show you some things. And it was fantastic. I don't know what they call them, but a scan, you know, a scan that goes all the way through your body, a slice through. So he said, here's the right, here's the left, here's the front, there's your belly button, and there's your backbone. So it always remained the same. But there was a slice through. So he said, there's your kidneys. And we went through the lungs, through the kidneys, slicing through like that. My God, I've never seen anything like it. Well, I have, you know, but not me. I've never seen me from that angle before for some odd reason. Yeah, it was fascinating. It really was. So he went literally from throat all the way down, and we was going down, looking at the kidneys and liver. Liver's massive. Didn't realise I've got such a big liver. I suppose we all have. Who knows? I've never seen my liver before. Bloody great big thing. Laying there it was. So he got to the belly area and what have you, and he said, here, he said, you see this little white line? And I said, yep. He said, that's mesh. He said, that's your umbilical hernia repair. He said, and that looks good. So that was good. And he said, oh, I see this shining away. So I said, oh yeah. And he said, that is a couple of clips holding the sigmoid colon. I got there in the end, sigmoid colon together. And I said, Christ, that's fascinating that can pick it up. He said, oh yeah, we can go closer. And we went closer and we looked at one of the clips. Very, very good. But anyway, so he got down and he said, right, let's have a look then, see what's happening. So we had a look and he said, okay, so this dark area, he said, this is poo. And I said, oh, lovely. And they said, this is poo over here. And I said, all right, poo, poo. And I thought, well, I'll ignore him now. He's had his fun with me, you know, poo, poo. And then he said, okay, so this is the largest hernia, and can you see what it's done there? And I said, no, I don't know what I'm really looking at. And he said, right, okay, so this is your stomach wall, this is your stomach lining, this is your, what you would be your six-pack, your muscles. He said, and you've got weak muscles to the right hand side of your scar. He said, which isn't unusual. When I've got quite a long scar in my cancer surgery, they went in initially laparoscopically, keyhole surgery. They couldn't do it for some reason, so they opened me up. But they opened me up quite a lot, so it is quite a large scar. He said because of that, that weakens everything around there, and you've only got to strain if you go to poo. You've only got to sneeze, you only got to stand up and sit down a few times, and it can just open slightly, you know, and that's what's happened. So the colon has pushed through the stomach wall. However, he said that's not the full story. Oh, I said. What's happened is you're fat. He said, you're fat. I said, all right. No, he said, your fat has pushed the colon forward, pushing everything forward, pushing it through the stomach wall. So you need to lose that body fat. Now, cut a long story short, but there's 7. Most of them are very, very small, and they won't really, itchy nose, impact me a great deal. And 2 of them are the size of half of the little fingernail across. So nothing really to worry about. He said they're very unlikely to do anything. He said, but of course we would take care of them anyway if we needed to. And now surprisingly he said this, he said, so he said, your lump there, and I said, yeah, it's massive. He said, no. He said, it's not a big hernia. I said, isn't it? I said, but look at it, you know, and let me show you. can see this thing here, right, that is my hernia. And I know because it feels totally different than there. It's my hernia, that. Okay, so it's about that big. So he said, no, it's not a big hernia at all. He said, and I can show you. And again, we're going on this bloody thing. So it's 7.9 something, 92 or whatever, 7.92. What did he say? Was it centimetres? 7 centimetres? Maybe. I don't know. Can't remember what he said. But anyway, he said it's just less than 2 inches. What's all this? He said your fat is pushing against it, making everything expand and look much, much bigger. Your fat is causing the problem. So yeah, so the outcome is they're not going to do anything for 6 months. I've got to lose 3 stone in 6 months and then go back and have a chat with him and arrange surgery, which I'm going to do. I'm going to lose a minimum of 3 stone in 6 months. So I said, well, I will do it. I said, this hurts. And he said, I know. He said, you'll find that when you lose even just a pound or 2, that the pain subsides. Pardon me. So I said, I have a problem with exercising. I've got heart disease. We spoke about lots of all my ailments and different bits and bobs. So I said, do you have a problem with exercising because I get out of breath? And he said, then exercise for hours. He said, exercise just a little bit and have 20 minutes to yourself. Exercise a bit more, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and have 10 minutes or 20 minutes to yourself. Do that throughout the day, you know, rather than thinking, okay, I'm going to exercise for an hour. Exercise for the hour, but exercise for that 1 hour all day long. So you complete the hour in the evening, perhaps, you know, whatever. And I said, oh, okay, yeah. And he said, there's all sorts you can do. You just go online and have a look. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to get breathless, because when I get breathless, it can start to cause palpitations in my heart. Then I end up with pain sometimes, either in my heart or kind of going down my arm slightly. That's always a worry, obviously. We know what that is, though. So yeah, I've got to lose 3 stone within 6 months. So I will do it because I've got to do it. And then have surgery, which I'm not looking forward to. As you know, I get very anxious and all the rest of it, but it's got to happen. So that is the score. That's that. So how am I going to lose quite a lot of weight, really, in 6 months? Well, I am going to exercise, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off seated exercises. I found some on YouTube. YouTube is amazing. You can find everything and anything on there, really. But there's a couple of really quite good, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, really, fitness people or whatever. And they show you various different ways to tighten up muscles and what have you if you're overweight and if you can't stand, if you've got a bad knee and things like that. Well, I can stand, but I'm going to find it easier exercising sitting down initially, then transfer that to standing, then from there do a bit more bimbling and a bit more. I want to start doing my weights again. I haven't done them for a long time because I found that I got breathless and, you know, blah blah blah. So that's how I'm going to do it, is exercise, but also by cutting my food in half, I've decided. So last night was Friday night, and I ordered the Chinese and I cut it in half. So I got half tonight. Now, I don't eat on a Friday dinner time. I never eat because it's Friday is my feast. So I won't eat today. This is Saturday. I won't eat today. And have my meal at about 5 o'clock or whatever tonight, which is half of my Chinese. So that's a good thing, just on those 2 days alone, really. And I think if I continue like that, then I should be able to shift the weight relatively easy. It's never going to be easy at my age. I'm 26. I'm 63. So I won't be able to lose the weight instantly, and it will take a while to shed, and hopefully I'm going to get down to where I need to get to. Now the shock is I'm 19 stone 7. Okay, that was the shock. Not much of a shock for me, but anyway, it was a shock for the doctor. I'm just over 6 foot tall, nearly 6'1". I'm 6 foot something or other. Anyway, whatever, but 6'1" we'll say, and 19 stone 7. Now my height won't change, but he said you need to be, ideally, he went on the BMI thing, and I'm too far this side, I need to come back down here, you know. So he said ideally, he said you need to be about 14 stone. 14. I ain't been bloody 14 stone for years and years and years. So I said, oh Christ, like that. And he said, I know. He said, but let's look at this realistically. Anyway, he set me a goal of getting down to 17 stone exactly. So it's not even 3 stone, it's you know, 2 3/4 stones or whatever it is really. So it's essentially 3 stones in 6 months. I've got to do that, and that'll be exercise and less food. I try not to eat chocolate. I try not to eat chocolate cake. I try not to, any cake. I try not to eat biscuits. I try not to eat sweet things. I try not to eat puddings and what have you. And I fail bloody miserably sometimes. I have got a sweet tooth, and I do like a sweet tooth. So what I'm going to do is just limit everything. Just limit everything that I can possibly do. Just be kind of hard on myself really, because if I open up a packet of biscuits, I've got some biscuits here. So this is what I like at the moment. Tesco's Oaties, can you see them? They're 70p. So this is, a packet of biscuits is about that much, something like that. Now I can sit and eat the whole lot. There's about maybe 30 biscuits in here. I know, what a pig, I know this. But I can eat the whole lot, okay? So what I do, or what I am going to do, is eat that much. And then a couple of days later, if I want something sweet, that much. A couple of days later, if I want something sweet, that much. About 6 biscuits at a time, something like that. That's what I'm going to try my best. And do you know what? Rather than beating yourself up and being silly over it, you try your best, don't you? You absolutely try your best. And if one night I sit here and I eat the whole packet, so be it. So be it. Because I will look and I will think, well, okay, on Friday I had half a Chinese, Saturday half a Chinese, Friday no lunch, no breakfast, Saturday no lunch, no breakfast. I don't know what I'll eat tomorrow, but you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I ate a whole packet of biscuits. Well, so what? So I'm not going to beat myself up. I have got a sweet tooth, and I will be eating sweet things occasionally. I don't have sugar or sweetener or anything in my Slurpee. Cheers. Okay, so I took a photo earlier in what I'm wearing. So this is what I currently look like, and this is what I'll have to look like. I will leave you with this little, so you get a good idea of it, a photo, right? This is what I look like, and this is what I will be looking like. So I'll leave you with that in a minute. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and be well. Cheers.